terms like build back better and the Great Reset are just entering the common discourse now. But then that connects to all of these globalist NGOs, and then that in turn leads on to the situation with Trump in America, and it's all connected. And to one degree or another, it's why I've been so fascinated to see what's been happening in America, because it is this huge populist backlash where, I mean, the big promises of globalism. This is why we're in this state, and all of these measures, they can all be traced back, all of it, to globalism.
I'm going to push back on your position that everything comes back to globalism. Everything comes back to anti-whiteism. Globalism is a neutral phenomenon as defined, and not specifically anti-white. And if that were just the problem, then it would be as likely to be benefiting white people as any other position. And what we see indeed is that it harms white people, and its in fact objective is to harm white people. So it's not an economic push. They own all of the banks, they print all of the money. This is about destroying Western kind and Western civilization.
Now, the way the globalists have framed this is that everybody in the world should be able to have access to roast beef at all times. And so this gives, say, an incentive to a farmer in Brazil to slash down his rainforests in order to graze cattle, which he has the incentive to do that, which he can then sell on in the global market. All of these things are streamlined. And so in a way, Europeans in the West, we've benefited from that, because steak and these meats, which used to be something of a luxury item, I mean, you have to play globalism its due, no pun intended, that they have actually, they've come up with the goodies. And what's made it so difficult for nationalists is that globalism you get your cheap wine coming in from Chile, you'll get your nice holidays, you've got all of these things. The problem is it's not natural, because eventually somebody in Senegal, he also wants to have roast beef every night, or at least access to have it. And they've said all along it's about bringing the levels of the consumption levels of the whole world have to go up. Steven Pinker, do an early life check there. He did a book a few years ago called Enlightenment Now, and that was literally his argument. It was anti-populist, and he was saying that it was worth all of the trouble and all the strife was worth it, because people in the second world, the third world, now had access to more food, more material goods because of globalism. Well, the problem they've got is that we've only got one planet. And if everybody has that level if everybody attains the level of consumption, the amount of roast beef that, say, the average American has access to, then we're just not going to have a planet anymore. And it's so what's called the Great Reset seems to me, it's their answer to that, which is to micromanage the consumption habits. And what we do in the West, this is where you get your maggots burgers coming in. This is where you get all of these things. And they're using the COVID to do that. Now, because it's just simply not sustainable to have everybody in the world with a first world living standard. So this is something of their response to that. Now, I would say all of a sudden the goodies are drying up, and the sort of totalitarian micromanaged police state is coming in. And this is also this is a globalist solution to a problem created by globalists.
First of all, the arguments that you are sharing about what the globalists want the world to be able to do are not honest arguments. Those are by those who are making them. So they don't actually want or need everybody to be able to eat steak around the world. They've just told you that so that you will open your borders and allow these people to pour into our countries, so that you will allow and not vote against and not object to them shipping off massive sums of our money to these foreign lands for the interests of individuals, business tycoons. There isn't a globalist being that is orchestrating the massive ballooning of the population of the planet and the enrichment of the population of the planet for the purpose of, at some point down the road, deflating the population of the planet. These are consequences of markets, of individuals striving for their own enrichment and empowerment. And primarily, an anti-white objective to destroy the countries of the West by convincing us of ideas that force us to lower our defenses and submit to ideas that are either intellectualized, sentimentalized, or moralized. So you have you're talking about everybody getting a steak dinner. Well, at some point, you said that, well, we wouldn't have a planet left. Well, we could never reach that point because the market would correct the price of steak. If it got to the point where everybody had enough money for steak, the price of steak would go so high that only few people would be able to actually afford a steak dinner. And if somebody came to you and said, well, everybody deserves to have steak, well, that something that's going to pay for the steak, as things don't come from nothing, they come from something. That thing is going to come from you and your labor as a white man, the work that you are doing, your tax dollars, the currency in your country being printed up. And the purpose of it is not to make this non-white person have a happy full belly. The purpose of it is to harm you, to take more from you, to devitalize you, to advance, enrich, and empower non-whites at the expense of detriment to and ruination of Western kind. There are a bunch of things there that I think that you're close in some ways. But the bottom line is that this is not, I mean, I saw somebody write in the chat, the Alex Jonesian, this is anti-human. And like there's some omnipotent and omniscient entity somewhere. And then when you have them break it down, there's, okay, well, it's a couple families or it's a couple hundred families. Well, if they already control everything, this is the most pernicious idea that could be shared with the population. Because if it's true, then just give up. Stop making videos. Stop going to work. Just get on the dole. Everybody who's listening right now, there's nothing you can do against something that's absolutely omnipotent and omniscient. So what's the use of continuing? Airbnb shutdown. You won't be able to use. This is what this anti-white corporatism is going to do to us. And it's not like Morgoth said on Wednesday. God bless his heart, as we say down home. God bless his heart, where he said, "Oh, this is about new world order or some kind of other fanciful conspiracy theory." And then when I point out that it's anti-white, he says, "Well, there are some parts of it that are anti." It is anti-white from top to bottom, left to right, forward to back. All of it's anti-white, and that's all that matters for your existence. By the way. There is no time for some intellectual observation of what's taking place in the earth as though your door wasn't about to get kicked down. You have to embrace the struggle and serve white well-being. So God bless his heart. I told him on PWR, this is about anti-whiteism. It's not about some push for financial gain. God's sakes, they lose money everywhere you turn in order to inflict harm on us. I've come this close already a couple times to really unleashing the foxtrotting because I'm so sick and tired of this garbage. Talking about how we'll run out of oxygen in 1,000 years from now if McDonald's continues to take forests down. If that's your concern, you're in the wrong place. You're definitely in the wrong house, because in this house, we get to business. And this is a house of love. This is a house of iron. And we're going to make it happen for white well-being. We're not going to pontificate and speculate on what the hell it's going to be like 1,000 years from now. Because there ain't no 1,000 years in the colloquial. There ain't no 1,000 years if we get white erased over the next 150. Finally, we have here Bonnie Blue Lass writes here, unfortunately, the anti-whites at the Hallmark Channel changed their minds again. Prophets be damned. And are now pushing an anti-white alphabet agenda. They don't care that white people just want some wholesome, family-friendly entertainment. There is really no such thing anymore. Well, precisely, Bonnie Blue Lass, I agree completely. And it's what I was talking about earlier when I was saying this is not some new world order, this fantasy, these lies. This is all lies. Anybody telling you that is a liar. And they are intentionally lying to you, or it's because they're too dumb to know otherwise. I don't care what their name is. I don't care how many followers they have. I don't give a shit about them. I care about the people who need to be saved. I care about Western civilization. And if their skin is so thin they can't take criticism, then they need to get out of the game. You know what? On the football field at the college level, I got to tell you, at high school level, I thought there was trash talk. Trash talk never ends. At trash talk on the football. And if you can't take it, well, then you're just not man enough. Don't come crying like a little late talk. We have things to do. If this were about from trash talk, but if you're a man, then you just got to suck it up. We have things to do. If this were about money, if it were just money for these people, these anti-white oligarchs, then they would be making the movies that sell with more dollars from white families than anything else. You look back at the sales of the movies, of wholesome movies, given the moment in time economically when they were distributed, and the net gain after costs paid for those idiots who don't understand. I still hear these people go, well, this one made more money. You absolute, please just stop talking if you didn't make it through grade school. Stop talking. You have lost your right to speak if you're that uneducated and stupid. You have these people, they end up with a margin with so much money they can fund the next 15 movies that are designed just to harm white people. So don't give me this bullshit that it's about dollars and cents. And then we had on Wednesday this idea that, well, prices, the entire rainforest would be swept aside so that everybody could have a hamburger, as though the price wouldn't increase for hamburgers as they destroyed the environment to the point where almost nobody could afford. If you don't understand economy, don't speak on it. If you're giving people reasons to not act in the defense of our people, shut the foxtrot up. God damn it. And that is everybody. I mean, at Jones and whatever good that he's done or whatever, where he gives people reasons to sit idle and to become neutralized because of fear, because they don't have power to take on the sun itself, who's a part of the ruling families of the global order. That fat turd needs to shut his mouth on all of those issues. He can talk about everything else where people think, well, I learned this from him or I learned that from him. I'm still waiting for his circling back on the apologies on all of the plastic coffins, on all of the fake neighborhoods, on all of this garbage that he made himself fabulously wealthy on, purchasing of fully automatic firearms that cost $50,000 or whatever these things cost, off of your dollars, for telling you these things that kept you home doing nothing. He needs to circle back and apologize for all of that garbage. But anybody telling you anything that causes you to be paralyzed and not act for white well-being, they need to shut the hell up, and you need to ignore them where they don't know good enough to shut the hell up.